Dan Bilzerian says he will run against Randy Fine for Congress. Now, how serious do I take this? I don't know. I don't really take it that seriously, to be honest, because he can't win that race, and we'll explain why. But one thing
is he threatening to run as a Republican in the primary?
Well, he's just said he's going to run against him. I don't know to what extent. He hasn't gone out and explained it. But one thing I will say is Bilzerian saw our post. He decided to like it. So maybe he's watching it. So if you're willing to listen and have a little political education here, we're going to teach you. First things first. You do not live in the state of Florida, much less the Florida 6th Congressional District.
Wait, he doesn't even live here?
He lives in California and Nevada.
So why is he just blowing smoke? Like, can I just also say that I had no idea who this person even was until like a couple months ago. But like, why would he? I don't understand.
Well, it says to me that, yes, do I think that Randy Fine definitely elicits this type of reaction from most sane people, especially in lieu of what's going on right now? Yes, absolutely. And I don't think there's anything necessarily nefarious in that regard that he wants to put himself out there. But keep this in mind. One thing we've learned about the state of Florida in particular, maybe not so much in South Florida, but in a place like central coastal Florida, in the more rural Christian part of the state, people don't like carpetbaggers. Yeah. Well,
and this is the difference. And I don't know this guy really. Other than apparently he doesn't like Jews. But if you were really interested in helping to unseat somebody, you be strategic. This is somebody who's just about ego. This is somebody who's about promoting himself. If this was somebody serious about unseating the swine, then he would investigate who's running, what resources do they need, how could I help somebody who already has any sort of footprint in that area. He would look at what are the demographics there, but he doesn't. He's just sitting there and wanting to like talk tough.
Be a part of the show. Be a part of the action.
Forget it. If you really want to help Dan, then you should donate to Aaron Baker's campaign and make yourself useful with some of your money, which I got even that money.
No, he's got a lot of money. And I'll be even, one thing that I think is also even more important to recognize, because again, I know he lives in Vegas, but he's also a California resident. There is a gentleman by the name of Butch Ware running for governor in the state of California. Now, there's a guy who is the one true candidate throughout the entire governor's race in California that is against the state of Israel and for the Palestinian liberation. As a result, you would think that that would be a situation where you could get involved and help out. If you have money and you believe in the pro-Palestine, anti-Israel cause, that is how you can help. Exactly. Using your platform, of which you have grown exceptionally effectively over the past decade plus, that's fine. But if you think you're going to get involved in a political race, first things first, pal, your life of debauchery will be exposed for all the world to see. And I'm not talking about the stuff that you've put on Instagram over the past 10, 15 years. I'm not talking about all the, we'll just say women for hire that you've had sex with over the past decade plus.
He could fund our anti-AIPAC PAC, Dan. You want to help? Give us some money.
What's going to happen if you decide to put yourself out there as a public candidate for office? Do you understand what somebody like Randy Fine is going to do to you in your personal life? It's not a question of whether or not you have sexually assaulted, raped, misappropriately touched, physically assaulted, so forth, a woman. But
has he been tried or convicted or anything?
He's been in some trouble. He's been in some trouble. So was his father.
Is he a misogynist, like a woman beater?
I don't think you would like him one bit. But here's the point. Randy Fine, if you want to talk about a person that if he's got anything to use against you in terms of getting in the mud, I mean, look at the guy. He is a pig. He lives like a pig, and he'll play politics like a pig. So if you want to get in the mud with somebody like Randy Fine, you could throw as much shit at him as you possibly can, and there's plenty of it to throw at him. However, for somebody who's not even from the area to even suggest coming in there, and let's just say you were going to throw $3 million at a congressional race, like you were actually going to try to beat him. Okay. So here's a couple of things you have to keep in mind. Number one, if you think that there isn't stuff in your past that he will not find to use against you, he will find it, or his people will find it. And they will convince people to say things about you that might not even be true. And
I was going to say, it doesn't matter if they find anything or not. And for someone in there who says he wouldn't give a fuck who knows his sex life. No, it isn't about whether he gives a fuck. It's whether the voters would give a fuck. And in that part of Florida, they'll give a fuck. That's the problem. So yeah, this is
why Mehdi and I kind of like understand each other. Here's the thing. I know his life's out there. I've seen it. I know what he's into. But here's the thing. That's only what you get to see on Instagram. You do not get to see what goes on behind the scenes. You have no, unless you've been there. Maybe you've been to one of his shindigs. I don't know. But point is, there is always stuff that you don't see, that you don't know about. And especially when you live like that with that type of money. I'm not saying he's Andrew Tate, but what I am saying is that there's certainly the possibility that there are things in his past, true or not, that will absolutely 1000% be brought to the forefront if he decides.
Are we talking about things with non-consenting people?
So here's my point. And that's just one. He has lived this lifestyle for a very long time.
This lifestyle, what is this like? Again, are we talking about consenting?
Hedonism, sex, drugs, rock and roll, the whole thing.
Okay, I'm with it. Are we talking about consenting adults?
I'm not saying that there isn't a non-consenting situation going on
then
here.
Who gives a shit what his sex life is?
You're missing my point. Somebody like Randy Fine will figure out a way to get somebody to make up a story suggesting that he did something inappropriate. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, they'll do that for sure. But again,
And on top of everything else, keep this in mind. That is a part of the country where that type of lifestyle that you've lived is not going to be welcomed by the voters, especially
there's that
on the GOP side.
Right, like what's tolerated in Vegas is not tolerated in that district in Florida.
Well, that's why they say what happens in Vegas is supposed to stay in Vegas. Yeah. But evidently, from Bilzerian's perspective, that's not what's happening. So I do want to see Randy Fine out of office. And I think that if Bilzerian wants to help, which I believe he does, there are a lot more effective ways that he can be going about doing that. And it doesn't just have to be financial. You can use your platform to help people get on the phone, to make calls. Harem of women who competed for it. Yeah.
Hey, look, again, not my corn muffin. I don't care about anybody's anything as long as it's consenting people.
Yeah. I feel the same way.
I don't care. Now I feel sad for some.
It's your business.
Right. I feel sad for some of these women because I do believe that a lot of them, even though consenting, are consenting based on lives that maybe didn't give them too many options and not a whole lot of self-esteem. And for that, it makes me sad. But as far as him, I'm all about debauchery. People want to have at it. Seriously. Yeah. I don't want to participate, but I am all about everybody else doing whatever they want to do that other people are into. Like, I'm all with that.
Like I said, I have no issue with it, but there's a lot of people who do. And this is the thing about politics. You have to know your audience. You have to know what works and what doesn't work. And that's to say that, look, if Bilzerian is serious and he wants to run for office, there's much more effective ways to go about doing that. Running against Randy Fine is not the answer.
No.
But Aaron Baker, listen, he's been on the podcast. You can check out his interview. He is supported not just by us, but by Michael Rechtenwald of the Asa PAC.
And he was in porn. I don't care about porn.
Who cares?
That's what I'm saying. Like that's not, again, the voters might care. The voters in that district might care, especially the Republican voters. I mean, that's going to be, which makes him not a good candidate strategically for that district, which is why if he really gave a shit about unseating Randy Fine, then he would want to be strategic about it and not just egotistical about it. That's how you can tell if someone's serious or not. Is it about them or is it about the mission?
Well, therein lies the rub, which is why I've been hypercritical of Dan and his language when it comes to saying it's the Jews instead of saying it is the Zionist Jews. Which again, even if you think that the overwhelming majority of Jews in the United States support the state of Israel, you have to be strategic about this. Strategy is everything. If you want to break the stranglehold that Israel has over this country, then language matters. Why does it matter? Because it doesn't necessarily matter if the overwhelming majority of the people agree. It's the people with the money and power that still have it, and they will. You know how the old saying of Charlton Heston once said, when it came to the Second Amendment, you could take it from my cold, dead hands? Well, that's what's going to happen with the Zionists. They're going to tell you, you want this power? You're going to have to take it from our cold, dead hands. And that's where it's headed at this point. Because they know it. They know they're on borrowed time. There is no way they don't know that they're on borrowed time. Unless they're just that stupid. Maybe they are. Am I wrong, Jen?
No, I mean, I think that they all know, which is why everybody's getting so desperate. And it was right. People in Florida party, but that wouldn't be the district I would consider to be a party zone. That's not the district. That's a pretty conservative district.
And let's put a tight little bow on this, considering what we elect here in the state of Florida. I'm sorry to have to do this to you, Jen.
What?
This commentary is so asinine and ludicrous beyond words.
What is this?
Senator Scott has some thoughts about money.
Oh, no.
Average net worth of a Democrat senator is $3 million.
Do you know what the net worth of this fuckhead is? Besides the fact that it's all blood money.
Wait, is he saying that? You really do not do a good job in setting it up. Like, I'm not even sure what we're watching. I'm not sure what it's relevant to what we're talking about. I feel like you're kind of all over the place. So can you set this up?
Well, Mr. Swine is over his right shoulder, but listen carefully again. Listen carefully again.
You know what the average net worth of a Democrat senator is? $3 million.
Oh. And what's the average net worth of all senators?
That's
probably about $3 million.
Do you know what the net worth of this guy's is?
Well, that's the wealthiest man.
100 times that amount. Like I said,
that's the wealthiest senator right there, guys. That's our senator. That's Rick Scott, Voldemort.
Mm-hmm. And Randy Swine right there.
So people in the Senate want to make sure they get paid, but they're okay with TSA agents not getting paid. TSA agents can't pay the mortgage, can't pay the rent, can't put food on the table. They're having to go to food banks in my state. They're quitting because they're sick and tired of being treated like dirt. It's the third shutdown in 6 months.
And he's going to seriously stand there and blame the Democrats. I want to say something, and I don't know that anybody like Randy Fine would ever watch this, but I want to just put this out there. If he were, your attempt to grow facial hair in some sort of Massey-esque wannabe way, it isn't working. You're still disgusting. Okay. You'll never be as cool as Thomas Massey.